What did that kid in your school do that will never leave your mind? Part 1. The conversation turned to farts amongst the 7th grade girls. The new girl, short and squat, and, as of yet, silent, shook her head and stated, "I ain't never pooted in my whole life." It echoes in my head regularly to this day. I also say it whenever I am accused of farting because it is hilarious. Similarly, I had a girl in my 7th grade class starkly said, "Girls don't fart, we poom." So I still call it pooming to this day. In 8th grade, I was eating lunch across from this very strange kid. I remember him picking up his milk with both hands and squeezing it as hard as he could. Then it popped and got all over him, and his reaction was a disappointed look on his face, followed by, "Oh man." Too bad the wife probably won't be charged or even discredited with child predatory charges. Same thing happened at my school, except it was a female health and PE teacher sleeping with a 17-year-old guy. Just got fired. When I was in elementary school, I was sitting at a table at lunch. I had a chocolate milk, and I decided to shake it vigorously. I had forgotten I had already opened the carton, so some poor girl behind me was covered in chocolate milk. Also, one time I sneezed and a huge booger was hanging off my face, so I closed it into a book. I mean, it is nice that no one actively outed him, but it still sounds like he was dealing with the oppression of silence, which is sad. The whole, "as long as you stay within the lines we designate, we'll tolerate you." One time at a band camp, yeah, I know, a kid started having asthma attack, and as the counselors were helping him, he started shouting, "This wasn't supposed to happen until Thursday." I still think about that very frequently. As a person with asthma, he was either going to force an attack on Thursday, or after a while, you can kind of tell a few days in advance if you might have one. I was in art class, and this kid goes, "Hey, check this out," sticks his middle finger down his throat and throws up all over the table. I once walked with emo kids after school and stopped at a store. One of them said, "Hey, want to see something cool?" I shrugged my shoulders and said, "I don't know." So they bought Hot Cheetos and Big Red. It's a soda or a pop. Well, they scarf it down, and then 3 of them put their fingers in their mouth and threw up all over the sidewalk. Then one of them said, "Now it will stain the sidewalk and won't come off." I followed with, "That'll show the rest of them, huh?" Brought a crossbow in and shot another student with it because the kid gave the police a statement about him stalking girls. He was very messed up. Has police report about him committing a crime. Decides to shoot kid, another crime, who gave cops a statement. How well did that work? In high school, there was this kid who wouldn't have a conversation with anyone. Spent 4 years with a dude in the same class, and never have I seen him say more than, "Okay, sure, bye," even though everyone tried talking to him to cheer him up. We thought something was wrong or he was just shy. He would just sit on his desk all day and look right in front of him unless disturbed, until one day we had a big school fight. Those happen a lot in my country. No one expected him to show up since he wasn't friendly with any of us, but dude showed up and proceeded to beat up 5 to 6 guys on his own, like a wrecking ball in a construction site. It looked like one of those cheesy martial arts movies. After the fight, he came back, grabbed his stuff, said bye like it was nothing, and just waved off. I still suspect to this day he was a robot. No, not a robot, just the main character. Had that sweet, sweet plot armor protecting him. In middle school, there was this girl whose long hair kept spilling onto my desk. I asked for her to move her seat, or her hair, and she turned around and hissed at me. We had a kid who growled at the 8th graders during high schooler for a day. We also have 2 that are fluent in cat. There was a guy who had a crush on me, and he sat in front of me in English. My friends asked about him one day while the poor guy was sitting there. He ignored me, telling them to shut up for a few minutes, then leaned back in his chair, curving his back around the top of the chair, arms crossed, until his head rested upside down on my desk, giving me an inquisitive look. I really don't understand how or why. I said, "Hi there," and he unfolded himself and looked forward again. Not sure if he's the master of playing it cool or playing it weird. Saved his piss for a whole week or month, I forgot, and then sprayed it on all the handrails at school. Eventually, he was ratted out by someone, and the VP came to get him in my homeroom class and confronted him and our teacher about the accusations. He said it was just apple juice and he was just joking about it. And right when the teacher went to sniff and take a sip from the bottle, he yells, all right, it's piss." At least he had the decency to not make a staff drink piss, right? Stole around a dozen textbooks, brought them into the boys' washroom, and burned them, setting the whole washroom on fire. I had a friend who stole textbooks, pens, and razors. He wasn't poor. In fact, his dad was filthy rich. The thing is, he just stole and saw it as some kind of trophy. At the end of the year, his locker was full and stuffed with textbooks, pens, and erasers. A 10th grade girl got arrested coming out of school one day when I was a senior. Nobody really knew why. Then a few weeks later, it turns out she was a pimp and was pimping out other high school girls to adult men. Whoa! For a moment, I thought that you were talking about my high school, but I see from another of your comments that it is definitely not. Needless to say, had an eerily similar situation happen at my high school with a student pimping out several of her fellow female classmates. So the fact that this is not as uncommon of a situation as I would have thought is very interesting. In the 1st grade, a kid next to me was chewing on a pen, and it ended up exploding in his mouth. Raised his hand to go to the bathroom. When the teacher called on him, he went to open his mouth to ask to go to the bathroom, and the ink just started leaking out. This happened to me on our school trip to Chicago. I was 11. It was really very important that I remove the plastic cap at the end of the pen. I'm sure everyone remembers how I looked, mouth wide open, trying not to swallow purple ink as the chaperone led me to the bathroom of the museum we were in. I also accidentally stabbed myself in the finger with a pencil in 2nd grade. Whenever somebody heard about it, through high school, they asked to see my finger. There was a tiny gray dot where the lead is stuck beneath my skin. Leave me alone. Went around showing other students pictures from a murder, and laughing while showing them. Then hung a Freddy Krueger mask on his locker with a note complaining about not getting attention. Kid in 1st grade with me. We had the 6th graders come and read harder level books with us, reading buddies, as they were called. We had a kid named Matteo who was inspired by his reading buddy. His buddy dared him to shove a rock up his nose. Matteo did, then proceeded to tell the teacher and head to the nurse. Nurse just got it stuck further and had to be sent home. No idea what happened after, if he had the doctor get it or sneezed it out. Same kid also wore a pumpkin costume, fell over and couldn't get up. Looked like a scene in A Christmas Story, where Ralphie's brother falls in the snow with all his coats on. Back in elementary school, there was a kid who poured gravel into his ears. Sounds like a very Ralph Wiggum thing to do. The dude would constantly run on his arms and legs, all fours, through the hallways or any random time. Oddest thing I'd ever seen. Our school had this quiz contest in which the student one by one gets their name called and has to go up a few stairs and onto the main stage. So I'm pretty nervous. Nobody likes me and everybody thinks I'm gonna get the answers wrong, even though I always studied for the quiz. But I trip anyway. I trip, my hands land on the step in front of me, and for the life of me, I cannot understand why. I just crawl up the stairs on all fours. They all saw it, a hall filled with students and parents. I went to Catholic school, and during Mass, this girl sitting next to me didn't fully get up, but just sort of squatted and started peeing in the pew next to me. Girls wore skirts as part of their uniform. She left the school shortly after. Also, had a kid who would get a nice big ball of spit in his mouth, then let it drop out of his mouth into his shirt pocket. He said he was saving it for later. Catholic school is weird, folks. I remember a girl in 2007 who was banged by the dad of one of her peers. Yes, it was Catholic school too. Turns out that he divorced his wife back then, and 10 years later, he and my classmate found each other again. They're about to get married this year. He peed on some random girl's head when she was at her locker. This was in like 7th grade or so. Pretty sure he got detention for like a week, but his social detention lasted much longer. A week? I was with people in juvie for less than this. If her parents had pressed it, I am pretty sure he would have started on the first of many forays into the penal system. I sure think that is worse than habitual shoplifting, etc., which is a very common way to end up spending time with a CYA. In high school, a guy I knew but never really hung out with, just had a class together, comes up to me during lunch holding the largest set of mortar fireworks I have ever seen. He said, "Watch this," begins walking towards the stairwell entrance. As soon as he disappeared behind through the doorway, kaboom! Loads of colored explosions shoot out. Everyone's freaking out, running around. Yeah, I had firework friends too. They would throw fireworks on top of the roof at lunch. Someone also lit a bottle rocket once. First day of high school, UK, age 11. Kid found a pair of badly soiled boxer shorts in an outdoor bin that had clearly been there all summer. I'm talking caked in a 1/4-inch layer of dried poop. Proceeded to put them on his head and start chasing groups of people around the playground. Not the best first impression to make when starting a new school. The poor guy never really pulled himself out of the social rut he dived headfirst into that day. Right, first day. I need to make friends. What do we have here? Okay, let's go nuclear. In my first year of university, there was a kid who wore a dinosaur head covering or hat that had a cape attached to it, and would walk around campus just staring at people. My friend asked him one day what his name was, and he replied with, "King Reptar." Weird kid, haven't seen him since. This man will be the ruler of the dinosaurs after the meteor wiped out human life and lizards are the rulers of Earth. A kid I knew took a poo in his hands and painted the walls in the boys' bathroom. Did not return the next day. Next I heard him, he messaged me on Facebook. "Hey man, what up?" "You pooping the walls, man. That's what's up." Oh man. Did every school have the poo-poo bandit? Thought it was just ours, but the identity of ours was unknown for the longest time. At my school, we called him Picasso, LOL. Threw a desk at a teacher and it ended up hitting another student. Same. Mine was a rager. He wrapped himself around a telephone pole on a motorcycle the year after that.